How are you? So, I'm going to talk to you about the energies that have been being experienced through this 8-8 portal since the cosmic new year. And today, if you're watching this when I'm sharing it, it's actually the new moon. And some of the things that have been coming up and about, I just wanted to share to potentially confirm for you or support you through this process if it resonates, of course. So I don't know about you. I'm going to share some of the experiences I've been having. There has been a definite deepening of the purification process, and it's as we're dropping into our deeper levels. I'm seeing this especially with the Divine Sacred Feminine Collective, which of course leads me to believe there's another level of purification happening on the Divine Sacred Masculine side as well. But today we're going to dive into the Divine Sacred Feminine portion of this purification. So, some of you, let me know if this resonates, may have been experiencing sort of old patterns or things coming up from childhood. What I've been being shown is actually as we're leveling up and as we're thawing out any potential other levels of dissociation that were in our system, it's supporting us with retrieving those parts of ourself. And part of what's been coming through is that these were portions that no one really realized or may not have realized, sort of where maybe there was a trauma response a long time ago, another lifetime in the ancestral system. So there, or it was even something that you worked on or looked at before. And so you thought that you had worked on it, not realizing that the overarching bigger pattern was still sort of frozen or hidden from you. But this is actually what's coming to light so that we actually have that essence in our energy as we level up. Like we're needing that inner child essence to be completely freed and available so that we have access to all of those keys and codes that we were born with. This feels to be sort of the gist of what I've been focusing on and also was even experiencing in sessions last week. So this theme definitely seems to be ramping up, which is actually really exciting. And I'm having an intuition that this is somewhat what we'll be touching in on as we move into that sacred circle of love on the 8-8 portal in that group meditative activation for any of you who would like to join us within that group session. And it's really that group session is around anchoring into Earth's highest timeline. And so, those of us, I'm going to say all of us that were born here on this planet, of course, clearly had a soul intention of aligning with our highest timeline. I hope, anyway, whether we're aware of that or not. But as we're really clearing out the distortions and the dissociation and restoring our true soul essence and embodying more deeply into who we actually are, as the old trauma responses and defense mechanisms are dissolved, then we can actually allow those keys and codes and core soul blueprints that our inner child came here with to become available so that we have access to not only that information, but the energy and essence of our inner child. And this is important because oftentimes, at least in my own personal experience and what I have seen hundreds, if not thousands of times with many people, is that as children are born, there's a remembrance of that soul memory and essence before embodying onto earth. It starts to become distorted and weighed down almost as soon as you are born, but there's still quite a bit that is remembered up until about the time where children are preparing to go to school and they're moving into that energy of where they're having to fit into society and also oftentimes they shut down or froze off that part of themselves because there was no one around to support them in facilitating those capabilities and that information. I myself experienced having a realization about a lot of things that were occurring around me that none of the adults around me were privy to. And so when I hit about 3 years old, I reached a point where I just shut it down to survive because I was too little to fully navigate it and understand it. And so it was scary that no one around me could see or experience everything that I was witnessing. And obviously, I'm here with you now. So over time, I thought that out quite a bit, but also even myself just this past week found a significant portion of myself from like 12 years old when my parents went through a divorce. So ways that I had coped or froze off to manage my emotions and my energy during that time when there was no one available to support me through processing those experiences. And in many cases I was forced to shut it down because there wasn't a safe space to actually process my emotions. And so, as we go deeper into these processes of embodiment, we may find these experiences. And part of what the purification part is where we're going in and not only retrieving those parts of ourself, but actually purifying the energetic field and the cells and the DNA where the old information was present from the ancestors around shutting down those gifts and abilities to survive oftentimes. So in my belief, I believe human beings have a huge capacity for a lot of abilities and capabilities, but those parts were not only not developed, but we were taught for centuries to shut those down, that it wasn't safe to show those capabilities. But this is all part of what we're clearing out and healing so that we can get more fully into our bodies, into our cells, and actually access and reawaken all of those gorgeous capabilities that have always been living inside of you, but they were just dormant or shut down. Partly because maybe you did it to survive, but there's also that space where the ancestors did it, which is why the inner child or the child you did it as a child as well. Let me know if this is resonating. I know it may not be for every single person, but it's coming up quite intensely and significantly enough that it felt important to address. And the fact that agreeing to do that sacred circle of love and anchoring the highest timeline, and then to have it come up so significantly in my system has been pretty exciting because I've retrieved a whole other portion of myself that I didn't even know I needed access to, which is exciting. And so each time one of us or many of us do this, we're actually creating more keys and codes for others to unlock that as well, which is part of why I felt guided to share this information, even as I'm just coming fresh off this most recent process. Because it's like, as I unlock and those codes within myself and share that information, even if it's just through the energetics, it might give you some keys and codes to thaw out more of yours. Okay, my loves. So, with that, let's see if there's anything that wants to come through for those of you here with me watching this. Any of, I know that there's masculines here as well that have been working on their sacred feminine essences. So, we're working on this together as a collective. And let's see what we got. Moon Maiden, New Beginnings. Very beautiful. I do feel guided to also get one from this Priestess of Light. Sacred breath and sound, life force and communication. I love it. So to me, this is like the essence of what we're actually being supported in if we choose to pan out and look at the bigger picture. We're at a time where we are actually being ushered and divinely guided to that highest alignment and divine order for our planet. And this is allowing for these new energies and this new beginning to come forth. The gorgeous part of it is that those codes and keys and information has lived in you since the dawn of time, since the creation of your soul, and since the moment you were born here or conceived on this planet. So with this information, you can use your own breath, your own sound, and your own intuition and your own intention to ask to thaw any of these aspects or energies within you that maybe you're not aware of. Or potentially that you don't even know exist, my loves. And that's kind of the beauty of your own full essence. You might not even know about parts of yourself. And that is, in essence, some of this so-called shadow work. Sometimes it's about those parts of us that we've stuffed down and maybe didn't want to embrace or that we didn't like. But shadow work is also about retrieving aspects of ourself that we didn't even know exist. And this includes very gorgeous and beautiful gifts. Okay, my loves. So as we go into these pockets or things come up where there was defense mechanisms or wounding or whatever have you in the system, in your system, in the ancestral system, in the collective system, anytime we are brave and courageous enough to allow ourselves to open up into those energies, to go into those pockets of the unknown, yes, we might bump up into some uncomfortable things, but we're also in a zone and in a place and in a pocket where we have the space to retrieve all of the gorgeousness that was left behind in the frozen essence as well. Okay. So as we're going into this, we're intending to unravel the defense mechanisms and the protective mechanisms. We're setting the intention of clearing out any of the things that may have limit our beliefs within ourselves or where we were projected onto or where we were taught to bypass away from who we truly were or where the ancestors had to do it to survive or where you had to do it to survive, but now you're grown enough and able to show up for those parts of yourself in a whole new way. And even if you don't fully know or understand what those parts are just yet, you at least have the capacity to go in and embrace it. And this is where it can be important to allow the uncomfortable parts to thaw out and clear out, giving those space and grace to sort of clean up. It's 11:11 here right now. And then open up to the gorgeousness that's underneath. And I think this is a very important thing to touch in on because when we go into these pockets or we are leveling up and we feel all this new gorgeous energy coming in, and then all of a sudden we might go into a pocket of shadow, of darkness, of discomfort, and feel based on old thinking that we've done something wrong to fall from our higher level of grace. But in actuality, what is happening is because you have the capacity, the strength, and the courage to level up, now that deeper pocket of energy that you're ready to retrieve and heal within and drop the results within is opening up. And if you can look at it this way, it can actually move quite quickly. And if you can see it as part of what your job is and what you're doing versus something that you've done wrong, you're kind of like on a mission to bring light into the shadows. And while you're going into the shadows and cleaning up the cobwebs, you're also retrieving more and more of your light and your essence to come home to your heart. Okay, my loves. And this is really thinking of it when we talked on my most recent Patreon video about sort of going into this abyss sometimes that feels like never ending healing, but it's really actually just a testament to how deeply humans were buried within the distortion. And those of you here doing this work have been brave enough to face that. And that is an incredible feat because it was pretty buried and pretty frozen and pretty distorted. So the fact that you're still here, um, suiting up and doing this work to bring forth your true essence, I just want to give you kudos and props and thanks for doing that, because you're freeing yourself and you're freeing your consciousness and you're learning how to free your subconscious fields. Okay, my loves, because many of us have heard that it's only about 5% that we're walking around conscious about, and 95% is our subconscious that's actually been more so running the show. But what we're doing in this work, the work that I do here within myself on my videos, in my sessions, in my groups, is we're actually working within those subconscious fields to allow your consciousness to meld with those spaces so that you can become more aware of your actual truth and your actual energy, because there's nothing subverting your attention, focus, and energy for its own gain. You see what I'm saying? So in the past, humans were deeply suppressed so that they could be utilized as slave labor, so to speak. Okay, we're just going to keep it simple. You can take that and connect with it however it resonates for you. But as we're embodying into our true full essence, we're moving through the fears and the projections that were put onto us to keep us small and afraid. Okay. So this work is definitely for the brave of heart. Trust and believe, if you are here and you've been doing any of this work, it's because you're brave, my loves. And I know in some instances you were pushed or forced or thrust into this initiation, but at a soul level, it was because you were ready, my loves, and because you have the skills in the bandwidth at a soul level to learn how to navigate and master these experiences, regardless of where you are on the journey, regardless of which pocket you're processing. Like I said in my most recent video on Patreon, again, I'm going to bring it here because these messages were important. Keep going. Keep doing what's in front of you and keep intending to align with what is meant for you, my loves. Remember what is driving you. Remember that vision that you have for your life and your soul and for your love, and allowing truth and love to continue to propel you forward, even in the moments where you don't fully know the truth, even in the moments where you feel the confusion and the cloudy energy. Keep asking for truth. Keep asking for clarity. Keep showing up in compassion for yourself and for others. All right, my loves, and give yourself the space to process and move through whatever is coming up for you. All right, my loves, we're going to leave it here. I'm very grateful to be here with you and to be in this space of working on these energies. I would greatly love to meet with you in the Sacred Circle of Love on Thursday, 8/8. It is actually by donation this time so that more of you are able to participate if you feel called. Would love to have you. I will drop all my information down in the pinned comment for you. And I hope you have a very beautiful, lovely day. And I'll see you soon, loves. Bye.